Not even a coat.
Hello, everybody. If you are listening, you are watching The Mary and Joe Show or listening to the podcast, The Mary and Joe Show. We are featured on 3 platforms along with 2 other awesome apps, Twitch and Twitter tonight, which is like, oh my gosh, we're broadening out here. We're also on 3 YouTubes right now and 1 Facebook. Rachel Raw Truth, MsChronicChronicles, and The Mary and Joe Show. And the Facebook, please, everybody, say hello in those chats. StreamYard should be giving me all the comments. I have tried to integrate everything. So if I miss your comments, send me a tweet or send me an email. You can see it going across the screen. Without further ado, let me please introduce my co-host and our secret little guest with us. Say hello, you guys.
Good evening. It's Marie Taro here.
And Toke, Rue, hello, everybody.
Welcome, everybody. Glad to have y'all back again.
That's right. Tonight, I think it's like our 7th episode, which is pretty awesome. And we've been rolling for, I think, 2 weeks now.
That's my favorite number. That's my lucky number.
Oh!
One of my favorites.
I have a friend listening, I'm sure right now will love to hear that. 7 is her special number too.
Awesome. Awesome.
We need to do a chat on numerology in the future too. That's for sure.
That's my favorites, like just the topic in general. I believe that I don't know, magic and numbers kind of go hand in hand. And
heck yeah.
Like the structure of the universe. It's like I think Tesla said once that we didn't create math, but it was kind of handed to us, and we recognized it, like the patterns around us, and we just kind of put numbers on it.
We're gonna have to feature some Tesla
numbers
too.
Are human logic to it, and we had to put something to it. But
it's like the human logic of the universal code. He believed that the universe was like coded, and it was all numbers. Like 1 is 1, or if you put 3 things together, no matter what planet it is, throughout the whole universe, supposedly numbers are still valuable in mathematics.
Right. Well, tonight we wanted to just really throw out, as you can see the title, it's an open discussion here. It's what's on your mind. It is a token talk, and if you've been with me for over the last 12 years, I'm the one who punned that, a toke and a talk, because I used to watch, what is it? Is it a Talk Soup, or what was that? Comedy Central. That's where that all came from, my token talk. Comedy Central's Talk Soup.
Yeah, I used to love Comedy Central, the
right?
Old Central especially.
I was like, why aren't we doing some cannabis and coffee here? I'll do it. But no, if anybody's in the chat, I see we are on Twitch right now. So let me see if this works.
Twitch.
That's right.
Shout out to all the Call of Duty players.
It showed it. Oh yeah.
Whatever you play.
Look at this coolness.
It's gonna go soon.
PC,
that's
console, true. All that.
We're gonna have to get some social medias ready for you, mister.
Start a guild or something, or a clan.
Right. Well, it's not a cult, but a clan's a little bit different.
Yeah, we're looking for qualified players.
That's right. I'm loving that we've been able to kind of reflect on some conversations in the past episodes that have gotten a lot of good respect. We have a very good amount of listeners. We're very excited to be so open with our wavelengths here. I mean, you guys are in your own individually so full of knowledge. So I feel honored to have the conversations we've had so far.
Yes, I love being here. I think it's great that we're finally on here talking and really sharing our souls on a deep level, and hopefully helping
the collective and in general.
Yeah,
definitely.
Even if it's
goal overall.
Even if it's a silly story, we just we never thought would be
the
have meaning.
One.
That's right. I mean, what's been on your heart lately, Toke? I mean, what's some things that, like, for you, just to get off your chest, that you're like, we need to talk about this? What's some stuff that's been, and please, Marie, feel free. I'm getting this joint lit. It is not being friendly. And we're coming unprepared, people.
Maybe I could mention, like, the news and stuff. I'm not going to get too political with it, but
go for it.
I feel like the news and just maybe media as a whole, it kind of projects issues upon society that aren't necessarily reality at the core, like when it comes person to person versus what you hear on the news, you know? For example, sometimes I'll get on the TV or something, and I'll hear something about two musicians fighting with each other. You know, it just seems like a lot of opposition is brought about that was handed to you, and it wasn't something that was truly reasonable on a day-to-day basis.
Is it okay for me to just say that I feel like pop culture from the 90s is really what just destroyed news? I mean, things were really over fabricated in maybe the 60s and 70s when broadcasting first came out, but this day and age, I have a hard time enjoying the news. Right.
And it's trying to make you compare, but is it making you look the opposite way of what's really happening?
That as well, yeah. I had a friend of mine
is it really overloading you to look the other way?
Or like
because we do have things going on that a lot of people are very unknowledgeable to, but I'm sure at this point 95% of the people know who Kim Kardashian is.
Exactly.
Well said. Huh?
So, do you see what I'm saying?
But you're having trouble paying your bills potentially, or
let's put it out
you have
there.
a hobby that you want to conquer, and Kim Kardashian's the main topic.
Right. And then how many people really, I mean, everybody's heard of the term global warming, but does everybody really know what that is when you ask them, or are they just saying, oh, it's just going to get hotter?
Right.
Because that's such an ignorant answer to global warming.
Well said.
Like, what we're not really realizing is the platonic shifts that we're making on this planet. It's just a planet, guys. It's just rolling around a sun, a star, a dwarf yellow star at that. And, I mean, there's so much more out there.
I feel like on surface level, it may, this is my personal preference or feelings about pollution, being that I have personally experienced like environmental pollution. Okay, I'm not talking about global, but environmental in my own radius. Like that on the short term does affect you. On the long term, it's questionable how because let's just put an argument out there. I've thought this a long time. What about power lines? How do we know they aren't cancer causing?
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
well put.
Think about all the radiation and everything else that we're
right.
But it's funny that you say pollution, because I actually have a kind of crazy story.
Please share.
I went on a lunch date recently with somebody that I had met, you know, and talked to a few times, and then they asked me to go to lunch, and and because of COVID and everything, for whatever reason, this restaurant was just drive-through only. Well, we didn't plan on anything, so we ate in the car, and then when we were done and my stuff was done and I was ready to throw it away, I walked to the dumpster and threw it away and came back, and the person walked with me and everything. And then when we got back to the car, they saw that they had sauces, and they opened the door and they threw it out.
Okay.
And I just kind of stopped, you know, and you know, my face doesn't hide anything.
Right.
And he said, "Oh, what, do you not litter?" And I thought to myself, we just walked to the dumpster.
Yeah, and I love my planet.
And so if there's just that little bit and that little bit and that little bit, and after that I haven't really talked to him at all, because I think that we're on such different levels. There's levels to this shit, man.
Right.
And you have to have some kind of respect for something.
Right.
And I think that how you treat this earth and what you do, and I'm definitely not great, you know, as I have plastic water bottles sitting here, and, you know, and I've got my own little conspiracies about the water.
Right.
You know? So, I don't know, you know, there is no perfect, but you have to really, I mean, if you're acknowledging what you're doing and you're just thinking that's okay because everybody does it.
Right.
where does the ownership start? And I think a lot of, going back around to the news, I think a lot of it, they don't say take ownership for it. We're hearing about this one and that one breaking up, and this fight and that fight and this and that. But we're not hearing about, okay, everybody sees the Sarah McLachlan videos, but what about like the polar bears? If you don't go really looking, to any kind of animal thing, these people don't know the polar bears are losing their home. Like there is no more left.
The ice caps are 100. I mean, I wonder more so about, is it the oil industry that has really affected is it the internal secretion that's happened from the earth that's really more so, versus how many cows are slaughtered or shit? You know what I'm saying? I don't mean to be funny about, like, I'm a vegetarian, so I can say this and come at my own side. I in no way am trying to control other people's decision matters, but when it comes to like leaving your footprint, I almost feel like we can't really control us, me, you, the small people. We can't control, other than if you believe in voting, which I think that it lasts a little bit of effect on the situation, but long-term companies pretty much pay for what they want. And I feel like oil, plastic companies, even like metal companies, like there's different things in place now that make them have to do some kind of I know there's a term for it, like they have to recycle so much, or if deforestation, they have to put so many plants back into the ground after they finish fracking and whatnot. But I think it's bigger companies.
Like, are you even taking an idea they have to put so many trees back after fracking?
Right. It's a real thing,
really
though.
Just like stop and think about that.
Well, can I just say something? I am really a little frustrated, and I'm going to need to do some more research, but we're talking about the tree situation and the oil fracking. And listen, I'm going to insult a lot of Colorado listeners and Louisiana listeners by what I'm about to say. But I'm just going to say it. The oil industry in Louisiana isn't going to like my statement, and the political side of California and Colorado isn't going to like my statement. But Bernie Sanders recently made a statement that he had pushed for allowing more drilling to happen in places that were supposed to be preserved. And he did it as a trade-off for other...
Wow.
He did it. And him of all people, God help us. I'll look for the article, but it's
trade-off for...
Right. Actually, I won't look for the article. We'll do an entire thing about like deforestation and water in Colorado, because it's a good example of the trade-offs that the politicians do all the time. Like we're signing, in my opinion, we are signing deals with Satan over and over and over into our great-great-grandchildren's decades that they can't undo.
We're already doing that in many different ways.
Absolutely.
Not just politically, in many, many different ways. Great-grandchildren, we've got to look at the real big picture here.
We might have trouble,
and I'm not
right now.
I'm not saying in-timer, but let's really look at the big picture here with what we have going on.
We'll elaborate for the listeners who are not going to grasp your concept here.
They should. I'm not trying to say I'm an end-timer or anything like that. No. I see that we've got a lot of things that are going on with Mother Earth, and we've got to really consciously make the decision to change and lead by example.
Can I say something?
Go ahead.
I just saw a post on Facebook. I belong to all these flipper groups where they flip furniture, upcycling and repurposing. And one of the debates in the conversation was paint the furniture that's antique and never can be remade, or leave it natural. And all the arguments were, I'm sure that's a beautiful teal paint, but in the end, you're taking away the value of the history of it. And the people who were on the other side of the debate I tended to kind of go with was, well, look at the beautiful paint on the piece of furniture that did not go into a landfill.
Right.
Like, that's the fact that we need to stop thinking IKEA, Walmart, Amazon.com, Wayfair, and all these other places is like our parents taught us. isn't actually the way to go. Maybe we should teach a skill. And that's what the people in the chat were arguing, that like, hey, I'm actually keeping this teal piece of furniture out of landfill. And I learned a skill, which is a pretty good debate, in my opinion. It's like, holy shit, you're helping yourself and others. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. It could be a distressor too.
I don't know. Yeah. I think that we're doing a lot in the landfills. I mean, that right there.
Well, okay, let me just tell you this. We took away, 3 years ago, I think it was. There is no recycling places, but all the places that used to recycle, you could bring boxes to, still exist here. And they let the community, my small community, think that they're going to recycle. And that exists in many places. That's not just my little tiny town, where they keep the community with the morale to recycle. But really, if you know anything about trash in America, it usually ends up on a barge somewhere else. China a few years ago said, we don't want your shit anymore. Do you know about that? I'll look up the article. They said, and so we have like an overpopulation now. Hold on. I'm going to look up 2 things. Go for it, though. Please take over.
Thing. We're just filling our land.
I think it's Virginia.
Garbage.
Let's see. Virginia.
Pumping it with waste.
Land built.
I can't believe that China was ever taking our trash. That's horrible.
Yep, they were. They took it for a fee, and then they would try to recycle, but they were overfilled, and they told us, we don't want your shit anymore. I can't find the article, but there is an area in Virginia, the state of Virginia, it's not West Virginia, that built, I'm not sure what town it was, but they built hills in an area that were trash mounds, that they built beautiful $1 million homes on top of the trash. Those areas are not allowed to have anything but non-edible vegetation because the land's dangerous. But it's real. It's like, this is like a 20-year-old story, I remember. And then the China thing happened maybe 3 years ago. China refuses. My computer's listening. U.S. recycling. It's in 2018, China's national. Let me pull this up. It's pretty crazy. They were like, keep your shit, man. And even Africa doesn't even want our computers. It's become toxic to them.
Well, I heard a story about, I think it was like Ethiopia or something a while back. Tried to give them a ton of seeds.
Oh.
And something that happened with it was that they glow in the dark and they don't reproduce. So,
oh God.
Yeah, once they got the gist of that. Yeah,
right.
they rather starve. They put all the seeds in a pile and burnt them.
Hold on, let me make sure it's working. Okay, it is. Yeah, if you can kind of see this, let me see if I can pull it down. So in 2018, China's national sword policy halted the impact of plastics and other materials designated for its recycling processors. For decades, these facilities had dealt with almost half of the waste of the rest of the world considered to be recyclable. For what I remember, and they'll probably say it here, hold on. Where is it? Okay, here we go. The impact on recycling in the US was immediate, with a range of consequences. Some collection programs stopped altogether. Others tightened the list of materials they would accept. Some sent recyclables to landfills and incinerated them. For what I understand, they didn't even want to do that anymore. Like, our shit's more toxic too. The domestic crisis.
They're having trouble with smog and stuff too, like from their own pollution.
Okay, there's lots of areas. Let me see, where is this? A picture I want to show you guys. There's lots of, here you go. Extended producer responsibility laws. Now, when I lived in California, you literally could make money off getting rid of your shit. But when it came to computer parts and wires and things like that, they told you, there were signs, they were very transparent, that you were just adding to the problem. It was in your best interest to actually throw it into the garbage can, because they're going to sort it. And there are companies that come to the trash heaps. The recycling centers are the ones who are usually negative.
For metal.
Right. I mean, the only reason you should be bringing your computer to a scrap place is that you've already trashed it and pulled the hard drive out. Otherwise, it's
maybe like the batteries or what, I don't know.
Right. No, there's gold in your motherboard.
Yeah, there is.
Mm-hmm.
There's gold in every single chip.
And copper wiring throughout. But yeah, I mean, okay, for instance, right now in my situation, I'm sorry I hit the mic. Right now, I'm trying to get rid of an old mattress. And do you know there is no place in the Western Slope where I live that will take a mattress? Even if you like to dump it off the side of the road, you could be fine. The dumps aren't taking stuff. So, and it's mostly since COVID. Like, I don't know how to tell you, but there's been a halt of a lot of things. So, no recycling, no whatever. You know, you could argue these are budget things, or you could just argue that pollution is pollution.
How do you get them? So how are you going to get it out?
I have no idea. I went to a school, it's like a head of the school board place today, and asked them to put for like a family in need. I'm begging. I've already posted all over Marketplace. Yeah, it's a sad situation.
Somebody needs a bed.
Right. And I'm not trying to charge. It's just my son's just not happy with the bed anymore. And there's no issues with the bed. It's just some kids like harder beds or softer or whatever. This thing is like a cushion. He just doesn't like it. So anyway, there's a good example to talk about. It's called the Resource Center in our town, and and I'll put some information. So if anybody local's listening, please educate yourself. There's a place called Lift Up and a place called the Resource Center. Some other cities do this called, I think it's called, there are Lift Ups across the United States, but reuse or something like that. I know Dallas, Texas does it, in California, where it's an artist commune sort of too, where if you have something to donate, you can get something back, or if you want to get at a small price, teachers like in Dallas, Texas, I know for a fact they have this. I think it's like it's a reuse center. I think that's what it is. I don't even know.
You can find a lot of nice things in these secondhand stores and stuff.
Right. Well, thrift stores.
You can find designer clothing and random items that are vintage, all kinds of cool stuff.
Like, only thing I think is really sad. Like, I don't know how you guys feel about CDs, DVDs, and things like that, but excuse me, like electronics today, people like I've been looking for VCRs because I still have VCR, but VCRs are very expensive now. Like, and how many people don't know what's worth what and what isn't? You know, like a vacuum cleaner from the 70s isn't freaking worth it, but a VCR from the 90s might be, worth a pretty penny. When what is it? Light fixtures. Like, how many of you out there listening are using the CFL light bulbs, the little bulbs, circular? They don't make them anymore, by the way. So if you got those, are they safe to keep in the garage? Are they worth money? They can grow plants, CFLs are the little circular twisty bulbs. Now everything is LED. And like, how do we know lamps? The technology doesn't always make it 100% safe when you're using other stuff. That's my whole point. Like,
yeah,
there does become a point you have to throw shit away, like makeup and things like that too,
Yeah.
And those are landfills regardless.
The power lines are kind of like that too. They, like on a molecular level,
right?
Your cells, there's like a fine-tuned system going on there, and for it to be efficient. But it seems like all these energy waves and things like that we send through the air, like moving up to 5G and stuff, it's killing certain things. I literally think it's taking their cells and rearranging them. It's almost like scrambling an egg, like taking an egg with nucleus in the center, this and that, and scrambling it. And what it does is potentially radioactivates the isotopes or something similar to that. That's mutations and things like that occur from cells pretty much having issues, like.
Let me ask you guys, like, do you
how far we go with
believe...
it before we find something different or stay at a certain limit where we can exist, like I guess coexist with our energy sources and also our food, our land, yeah, like maybe oil is a good and bad idea. I think everything can have good and bad to it. So maybe oil doesn't have to stop, but if we're gonna, maybe we have to be more efficient. Like there should be higher regards or regulations potentially.
Right.
If we're
And
even
I
gonna do it,
believe
if we're gonna
last
do it, we better
year,
do it right. Is
I'm
all I'm saying.
almost positive that California last year took away the extra tax, or it was a couple years ago, maybe. I'm pretty sure I'm right. That they took away the extra tax if you had a hybrid car. So there is incentives in new places, but places that now really expect you to get with the times, it's very difficult. And I just had an argument with a friend the other day about GMO. I hope she's listening. GMO foods and how agriculturally, how can we stop what the bees have been doing and sharing the pollination of GMO? It's all over their legs, all over. It's the facts, And so and it's in the air, and it's literally we don't listen to the facts. This is a token talk, people. It's in our smoke. It's literally in everything. GMOs in some form it's polluted the whole world. From what I understand, we'll have to do an episode on this specific topic, but I do know for a fact that even in like the Amazon, there is in places that have never had GMOs planted in their ground, it is in their soil, in the Amazon, in the rainforest. So GMOs have hit the air, have traveled.
We're Earth, like it goes everywhere. It's in the ground. It's everywhere.
Right. GMO Amazon. And then that, like you were talking about the is that the one? GMO? Oh my God, I don't know if that's the one. There's some great documentaries we're going to have to reference when we do further topics on some of the things we're talking about. That's the main reason we decided to kind of bring it up tonight, like we're doing, folks. And so you kind of get some enlightenment, and maybe you go search into some of the stuff we're looking into. When you come, back to when we start having our big chats, we can have this be a nice, big, heavy conversation, So this is just an idea former. But yeah, the GMO, in Hawaii, there's some very strict policy, but they're one of the first places that really started recognizing how things were affecting. Like some bugs are super thrivers on GMOs and others are not. And yet GMOs were created to protect you from bugs. And then we end up having genetically altered DNA long term.
I got a theory on the chemtrails too.
Yes, please share.
Like pesticides, like me and my friends were talking about theories, and I mentioned I believe we saw a ton of chemtrails, and it was like making a geometrical pattern in the sky throughout the day.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, and it's actually true. They do use routine paths, like they kind of make a grid sometimes, or use other mathematical formulas to create the best structure for spreading the material properly. But the point I'm trying to make is, so I'm sitting there being kind of critical about it, or kind of like how I was speaking about oil. It's the same thing, kind of. It's like we try to help, or whatever, the industry tries to help humanity, and they end up hurting them. My point was also, my friend, the story goes on to say, like, so I told him, like, man, they're messing us up. They're destroying things. They're causing negative vibrations in our molecular structures, causing, like, I don't know, upset isotopes and things. And he's like, damn, you know what I mean? What if they are just trying to help us and nobody wants bugs on their shit, but it just got out of hand, And I think that goes on and on, that humanity tries, like, very quickly and abruptly to fix things, or within a few months they come up with something, and they try their best to make it happen. And there's always things that they weren't expecting. Humanity as a whole, like, I almost feel like it's impossible to understand everything that'll occur. So we have to, like, trial and error, and things are built out of blood a lot of the time. So maybe,
don't you feel like
pesticides are, like, causing deaths and stuff, and we might, how long is it going to take before there's some type of regulation, or we find a medium where we do both?
I'm going to look up the ages again, like we were talking about pre-show, because there's a lot to be said of, like, what has made us not seek, and it's conformity at its finest. But when you wake up to society and you don't understand, you wake up being born into society and it's got its structures. Like, I think we talked about it on our last episode, or I've recently mentioned this, that taxes are something I just explained to my 6-year-old. And it was a very strange thing for me because I was like, well, that's actually good. I was thinking it as I'm explaining it, but I was also like, these things were here and people just had like knocked on your door and you were given a statement like, now you're paying taxes. We expect it at the end of the such and such, like everybody was like not completely for it. And that's been a continual cycle in humanity. If you look at it, like, I just saw a documentary recently about a ship that was found in the Sierra Valley of California. It was a ship in the desert, basically, and at one point the water used to get really high back in the early 1800s. I think it was 1800, maybe 15. But this ship, like pirates in California, think about that, guys. Just because the waterways open just a little bit, like our history and our land, and in the way that we even found out about the possible ship was there were carvings. I'll look for the picture of it, but there were carvings of ships with sails that the Indians had written. That's how we knew to even look. And then they started doing underground sonar from above planes and found several pictures. It's a pretty amazing thing. I'm going to look it up for you guys. Hold on one second.
Are you pulling it up? Where was this at in California?
It's near the Mexican border to California. It's pretty fucking incredible.
So do you know if it was like the original explorers? Because I know
I'm going to pull it up. Hold on one second. Just take over for a second. Let me pull it up.
Pirates in California? I didn't even know that was a thing.
I don't know about pirate, like exactly the pirates, but I know that when they were trying to settle California, they were looking for different bays and things when they were exploring.
Wow.
It took them like 3 times before they found San Francisco.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the terrain out there before it was paved, I guess you could say, could have been quite the adventure. A lot of times people think that if you're 10 miles into the woods, that it's just a straight shot, so it's 10 miles, but sometimes you have to trek around things and
think about
over obstacles.
Once upon a time, things. All woods.
Yeah.
I mean, the Indians.
Shout out to the people that paved the path,
You're shouting them out?
Yeah, I mean, it's a big deal. I'm just trying to pay dues, pay respect to the fact that I probably couldn't have done that job, and I feel like I work hard some days, but I couldn't imagine how hard those days might have been.
Right.
Before electricity? Before AC?
Oh, yeah.
Before heater?
Before baths.
Ugh.
Yeah. And
okay.
Europe, I believe, before I got a question. Hot water heaters. I mean,
yes.
Okay. Like, seriously, let's be real for a second here.
Right.
Like, our hygiene. Okay. So,
wait, what about our hygiene?
Do people stink worse now because of all the chemicals in the food?
That's a good point. But I was gonna say people didn't live long. So what it did to the insides because of the bacteria from their mouth, their heart, all the things.
Yeah, but there was
think about just between your legs, and you actually did do the things that you used to do that we do nowadays. Holy shit! That's what I think about.
Yeah.
Yuck. Think about brothels.
Oh no.
Just think about.
Do you know they like use the leeches on there?
Wait.
It's unbelievable.
Hold on. We're gonna blow. I'm all right. Now you just made me go on a
tangent.
But
yet they didn't have
like just some type of odor in the air the whole time, like something that you never experienced in the modern day. like rot, pretty much.
Okay, this is real. They used leeches to cure STDs in brothels. It's a real fact. Women use leeches for ST. Do you understand what I'm saying?
So the leech would go up in there?
Yes, woman.
What?
How would they get the leech
out? How do you not know about this?
How would they get the leech out?
They would have it. They would get it from the doctor. It would be like a rented out leech. It would be
wait,
rented
how would
out.
they get the leech back though?
They have a doctor inserted in the and then the and I guess, you know, if you're already burning and in pain or who knows what else, wowzers, right? They're known to pull infection out, but that's extra. Hold on. Let me see if I can find something better, because this is a damn good article, but it's a real thing.
But it might help or aid.
I watched a whole bunch of crap about the Middle Ages and stuff. Hold on, let me stop screen on this and show you this one. Yeah, man, I couldn't believe it. And actually, it's terrifying. It was a very big practice here in Colorado through the brothels in the rural areas. Bizarre STD treatments. I'm sorry. I have a child. And it was a moment. Okay, so the bizarre history of STD. Is it on the screen?
Yes.
Okay. STD treatments. And April is many things, a month that contains a wide variety of holidays, including Easter, Passover, Earth Day, and 2 weeks of breaking out into a cold sweat over your taxes. But it is also STD Awareness Month. Well, that's good to know. We'll handle that later. Hold on. Let's see. Yeah, so it was a modern antibiotic, can cure infections like gonorrhea or chlamydia, while antivirals can mercenarily with illnesses like genital herpes. But this wasn't always so. While human beings throughout history seem to have dealt with sexually transmitted infections, also effective treatments of STDs are fairly new developments. Oh, let's hope they don't get rid of Planned Parenthood and we have to go to this. No.
Oh, God.
Okay, let me find the damn pictures and not read it. Because you guys, I will always include these. I wonder if it shows in the chat, but we're going to just try this right now. I'm going to copy it in here to my StreamYard. And then this is going to be hopefully in the chat. You guys should be able to see it, including on all the places. But yes, let's see here. Do you want to, let's see. And I think it was an Egyptian practice initially. That's what it's saying.
I heard something speculating that they didn't have infections in Egypt.
I think they had better herbal medicine.
Well, like I mean, like if you got a cut or something, they were able to keep it like subdued properly.
Where's a good picture? Like here you go. That was done on just
recovery.
Leeches were a normal way to do whatever, but I know vaginally is what they would do. It was a fact. So brothels, here we
go. Like it just blows my entire
mind. I just think of a yeast infection. That's enough. We don't need all that. Like, you know, like wow, pain. And it says rumor it was 1500s Italy. They could cure yourself by sleeping with an African woman. Isn't that messed up? Unbelievable.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of things like that in history.
Talk about it's just a sick way of being. Here, I'm gonna send this article.
You just like make it worse for other people, and you don't even realize it because you.
Do you want to look through this real quick, Marie? If you see something further in it, I'm just gonna send it over to you. Is that okay?
Yeah, I don't know how I'm gonna be able to. It might.
Might not be able to see it. Well, we might be able to touch on it later, but. Yeah, that's one really crazy thing. But the ship thing, let me bring that back up. This thing is wild. Now, there's a whole documentary I watched on it. I'll have to find out where it was at. There we go, 5 facts. But this thing was incredible. So, I believe this is the man that I'm talking about. It was a 1974 shipwreck. I'm pretty sure that's when they found it. Hold on. Larry Justus. Let me look that up, guys. Larry, because this thing's, it's amazing. The writings on the wall. All right.
Writings on the wall of the ship?
Yep. That they found on the caves near where it was at. Like as if they wrote it on the, like the Indians wrote the ship, how it looked before it was covered. Or maybe, who knows? Like if was it under the water or was this later and they saw part of the stern? I got to find the picture. Hold on. Exit that image. Shipwreck. Hold on a second.
They have a lot of shipwrecks around the world where there's like cruiser ships or cargo ships.
But this is in the desert where it shouldn't have been. Where is it at?
Wow, that's interesting.
Right. And they only found the bow, and then he started finding cannonballs that were still. Where is this damn thing? Oh, here we go. American Civil Spanish treasure. Yeah, and they thought that there was treasure. In California.
That kind of reminds me of like the out of place artifacts that I mentioned, the O parts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if we
1970s.
after this, we might pull up an article about that. That's really
please. I know you guys are sharing phones, so
yeah.
Is this the one? Here. I'll have to look for more, and I will post a little picture because I don't know why I'm not finding the documentary. But this is basically it. We're on it right now. So, go back up. So one man wanted a permit to dig in the early 70s. Lawrence Justice sought permission to enter the Ozone. I'm saying that wrong. Desert Star Park in Bongo Springs, California. The purpose of locating certain artifacts. According to the documents obtained by the Desert Sun, his attorney first contacted California Department of Parks Recreational 1974. Technically, the land that he was on was Mexican land, but it became California land when they decided to do the actual dig. So that's why when I was saying it was between the two. Hold on, let me see if it shows more on this. Most scholars are skeptical. Now they never okay, here we go. They never fully found the ship thing. They did a ton of overlooks. Let's see. We'll have to do a whole thing on it. I gotta find the documentary, and then it'd be a lot easier to fucking who knows. Let me look on YouTube real quick and see if I can find something. But yeah, please, you guys add to the mix. I think it's interesting when we see history like that come from the ground, you know. It changes the story, you know.
Yeah, all the things that we can't see, like the ocean.
Right.
Ocean, all the things that we just don't know yet.
To think that we haven't even hit the bottom.
Right. What is at the bottom? What a good point.
I don't know, but we've already gone down and like.
I thought we did the deepest parts of the ocean.
We have not hit the deepest parts.
I thought it was the well, maybe we haven't physically been. It's the Mariana Trench, or there's one other one. There's another trench.
Yeah,
I think it's between.
I don't know.
Once
we get to the point where like there's no sun ever, and those animals are like no eyeballs and shit, that's creepy.
Mm-hmm.
But is it?
Okay, I just always get weirded out.
We speak about different realms, and like they're literally in a whole different reality. There's no light.
We would feel like
sound and waves and vibration and pressure.
Yeah, but if you saw one of those things, like it'd be like one of your worst nightmares. Think about it.
I just saw something about.
It's something that you can't fathom. So when it appears to you, it's gonna throw you off for sure.
Like mummies who believe that
especially big teeth.
Your soul and essence came from your heart and never came from your brain. And they would take the little hooks and pull your brain out of your fucking eye or your nose. That thing just blows my mind. I'm like, God, they like desecrated.
When they mummified, I don't know if you know this, but they could. Yes, like they had to scramble it before they could pull it out.
What? No.
Yes,
I don't want to know.
They would do it. They would do it to like royalty and stuff. It wasn't just to random people. It was to like preserve the brain or something like that for the afterlife. They used to put all the organs into different containers.
It was to preserve
and
put it in the tomb so they.
I just can't.
They could find their organs on the other side, or what they need to survive. If they need to see or smell or whatever, I don't know. Or see or taste or eat.
Let's just take a second to think about that. Like just a moment to think that you have a brain.
Oh, duh. I'm the vegetarian gets grossed out by her own brain.
It makes my skin like, and I don't even like the idea that I have skin. Like
I hate that shit.
Organs.
I have actually gagged by touching my bones and my wrist.
It's like squishy.
Like I can't.
like a Jello or something.
I think I found the documentary.
Like jiggle, jiggle, jiggle.
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah, it's gonna jiggle. You could like smash it.
Did I find it? Tell me I fucking found it.
It would give you a lot of brain damage if your brain was smashed.
You know what? We're going to have to do a
Einstein's
reaction video.
Huge, by the way, it was like larger than average. I think it might just simply be like electricity or like neurons firing in his brain caused like it's like exercising a muscle, you know.
And we have to do a review on the Zeitgeist, like a reaction video of the Zeitgeist. Have you guys seen it before?
Yeah.
You have. Did you enjoy it?
Zeitgeist.
Yes.
Where it's talking about like
it's
fun, like
it said the end of the world was coming in 2012. We should chat about that and see how right they were.
Did it really say that?
Yes, it did.
Like that
yes,
night
it did.
Party. It was hilarious.
Right, I watched it a lot.
We woke up.
Good.
I woke up under a sheet off a wall with some chick and.
I'm really confused why this documentary isn't showing up. I'm gonna look on Discovery Plus because I love Discovery Plus. I am not in any way affiliated, but geez, they have some good shit on there. This must be it, The Lost Ship of Mojave. Let me double check this. I'm gonna see what we got here. If this is like a promo I can share, I'm gonna right now. Please fucking work. It's everything I keep showing keeps bringing this. Is this it? Not sure. Let's go. Physically. Sorry, I'm looking through the video, guys. I don't think this is it. Myth Hunters? That might be it. The Lost Ship of the Mojave Desert. I think that might have been it. I don't know if this is the one, though. But, because they're showing dry desert. Let me double check. Is this the one? No, they're showing a bunch of boats and water. That has nothing to do with it. Okay, maybe not. Yeah, I'll have to look for something and just share it on the next stream. We have another token talk on. But yeah, it's been interesting to see that, there is a lot, even in the desert, that like people are driving in between Las Vegas and California and they're still discovering things and people. And think about that. I always think about that. People.
At one point, or it was,
I always wonder, like, are there full-on fucking houses with skeletons in them in a mountainside up on the toppest ridge we've never been to yet? But these settlers were there, and their whole family got, I don't know, not chickenpox, but like smallpox or something. Yeah.
Oh God! And we bust into their house, and the whole team gets smallpox.
Well,
if we haven't seen the bottom of the whole ocean, what if there's an Atlantis?
The mines alone, all over the country. I mean, I don't know. We could go back into the ghost conversation, but we don't have to really stick our toe in that much. I think residual energy does exist in those places because of the charge of the material, like the actual minerals that are in those mines,
Big time. It's inside of the earth,
Right.
The earth is electromagnetic.
That we're packing with trash.
Oh, thank you for putting it. You just gave us a cream filling of trash. It's so true. It is so true, unfortunately. It is.
Really disgusting.
I mean, okay. What do you think? Let's be really, really honest right now. No sugarcoating our honest beliefs, each of us. What do you honestly think? Are we going to be like China in 20 years and have to wear masks all the time? And this isn't about the C word. This is about pollution.
Oh, gosh.
I've heard people talk about like that. Like 20 years from now, we'll be so polluted. It'll be what it is. We'll have to wear masks.
Like a nuclear event or something. We're just,
but completely limited. How would that work exactly?
Because I'll show you. You want to see China? I mean, it's a culture
it's almost like we're not necessarily causing like a nuclear issue, but it's like polluting ourselves. What's worse? Like, in the long run, it might be worse. I don't know. It's just interesting. Both of them are terrible. I mean, it's like smoking cigarettes or something. You're slowly tearing yourself up,
Well,
to the point where it's just like irreversible and detrimental. It just ruins.
Here we go. China pollution. Let me look up something very recent. That'll be a good perspective. Let's go this week. Oh, isn't that great?
Pollution, humanity, cigarette.
China's new plan to destroy Taiwan. That's not what we want. I mean, India is a good example. Like the rivers with the kids and whatnot. How long have people actually... How many places in the world are nuclear and people have drank the water and they're just dealing with children with tumors now and whatnot? That's a real thing.
But we've got children with tumors here. Does that not?
Areas.
But that's the problem. We're so
desensitized
to not even
the cellular like I don't know, structure being manipulated. And I also thought to myself, some of the people, I'm not gonna say any names, maybe I should, you know,
if it feels like it's a need to say.
I just want to say that I was doing some research on this specific investor, and I come to find that they invested in GMOs big time, but they were also invested in pharmaceuticals that
isn't that
heal
awesome?
cancer and stuff like that. It's almost like a major circle, you know, like
that's a monopoly, a monopoly investor, in my opinion. Is that
not a monopoly? Like you call
it is a monopoly. You're literally making sure the tit sucks.
And even if it's not true, like that's not not their intention.
Right.
It's just it's interesting to see. It's maybe they're just trying to be themselves and they caused like a monopoly on accident, or was it like some type of
German Polish river
cause cancer?
Look at this. Huge number of dead fish wash up on German Polish river. Let me just say something though. The pollution that exists in other countries is nothing like ours. Yes, China's bad. They're very bad. We're not on their level quite yet. California in the maybe 80s and whatnot, I think it might even been earlier. I'm not sure when their pollution changed, like when they had the caps on everything. But at one point, I remember having friends who would tell me, who had grown up in Orange County, which is Southern California, who were like, straight up, it was hard to see outside. There was dirt under your fingernails. Like masks weren't a thing, but like exhaust pipe being when I think it was 70s, late 70s, mid to late 70s, and then they made new
Did they have electric cars back then at some point?
No, they just had diesel a lot too in the 70s.
They might have though, believe it or not. Like I think I saw it one time.
I'm looking up policy for the 1970s California because I'm pretty sure. Wait, hold on. Let's see. California.
Patents were suppressed and things. I need to research that a little bit.
Pollution laws. That's probably what it is. And if you guys are in the chat listening, give us some points. Okay, I was way off. All right, so let me pull this up. Like, that's the part about if you ask questions, research it. We were just talking earlier, you know, there's so much availability of of knowledge, and I feel like we've been dumbed down to act like, unless you're encouraged.
I think that's a great point that Toke brought up earlier, that we should bring up the reverse renaissance.
Please share it.
Elaborate.
I could make it a long story, but I'm gonna try and be brief with it. It's just the thought that back in the day, libraries had most of the information and they weren't accessible to most people, but people in society tended to have a huge attention span and could build things for themselves and could cook and clean and build things. I don't know. They just did a lot of things for themselves, you know, and they were hardy people. They had attention spans and couldn't reach the knowledge that could expand them. But I think nowadays it's reversed because...
Look at this interestingness. You have a point here. Renaissance in reverse, 2016 Hollywood Writers Report.
Yeah, huh?
So you're not the only one that's coming up with this idea.
Wow.
I'm not even kidding.
I swear.
No, I always feel like I have this major belief system that...
I thought I came up with that. When was it, 2016?
Right.
Let me ask my friends, like, when did I come up with this, man?
Let me know, unless you need to have a little chit-chat with these Steelers. No, but the concept... Look, we've got lots here. But the reverse...
World works.
I've always thought that there's recycling because I believe in astrology so much. The ages. Hold on.
But nowadays we have the tablet with endless information, and we seem to have like a goldfish attention span. It's kind of strange how that works.
Oh, I think it is the ages of man. I think that was it. Hold on, we got it. I'm not wrong. Nope, that's wrong. That's not what I meant. Because it's like the golden age, the bronze age. Fuck, what are they called? I think it's just the ages. The ages?
Golden age.
What are the 4 ages of history? Here we go. I got it.
Learn.
It's bronze age and whatnot. The ages. Bronze.
They're attempting to.
Oh my god, there's a fucking term for it.
Artwork that comes from the Renaissance.
Bronze age. The historic ages? That's what I'm gonna look up. I don't fucking know.
Just look up humanity age periods or something.
Ages of metal, I think it
Ages of humanity, or
not mental. God, that's a whole conversation.
Yeah.
Different ages of man.
Metal. Because there's a whole thing. Okay, here we go. I got it. I found it.
Yay.
The metal age is divided into these 3 stages. Do you see it on the screen, or am I making
bronze?
Okay, the copper age, the bronze age, the iron age. During the metal ages, people made a variety of metal objects. Okay, so this is such a huge theory, though.
That's like electrically.
Let me look for the things. What is it? I think we're gonna do a whole timeline on these because they really do reflect astrology. Like there's so much that's repeated itself. And here we go. And most of it was where like Europe and whatnot broke up. Millennia BC. And I feel like that's the problem. Can I just say this as like a person who's here in this moment? I feel like we, not just from coming from Louisiana, but being Americans and being of the 1900s, being children born in the 1900s, okay? I feel like we don't even understand BC, any of that. We're so far removed from believing it matters when maybe that's the problem. I've thought that for a very long time.
But we're in the very late 1980.
The end of it. Well, what happens in a repetitive cycle in the end of ages? Think about the 1890s. Have you ever looked? Okay, hold on. Let's see. There's like a mirroring stage of this. Let me find this. Because I looked this up when we went into 2020. Hold on. 2022. 100 years ago. 10 things turning 100 in. There you go. This is huge. This is just like, life 100 years ago. 1922 it would have been. Think of just that. Think of the right. Hold on. Let's do this. How are we on time, guys? Are we doing good?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me move this up so I can see this. Share. And everybody, we've not been able to share any videos yet. We had some issues with sound. We're trying to work that part out. So if we do feature a video, bear with us. But yeah, life 100 years ago. I love this stuff with all my might. Just looking up videos and things because it really does enlighten you and it really does educate us.
I mean, how do you learn until you look?
We don't know. We don't know these famous people and whatnot. Like, it's incredible. So Cleveland, Ohio, the year 1922 saw an Ohio girl winning Miss America, lighthearted and serious inventions, a deadly snowstorm, and other milestones. That's something. Let's just stop there for a second. Snowstorms 100 years ago for people nowadays, when we get power outages in big cities, people are not physically equipped like they might have been 100 years ago. Like their body could handle harsh winters. We today, like California, when it had those issues, and I think Michigan last year or a couple years ago, where there'd be like massive power outages for long periods of time. That's some scary shit.
People were definitely more prepared. They didn't even have we've come so far. Their houses weren't insulated. They didn't even know really about it.
But they knew how to sew. These people would rather die than make their own socks.
It could be. I mean, how strong is the human mind and the whole placebo thing too? Because you know how they say if you didn't know about sugar, then you wouldn't miss it. Well, it's
that's a good point.
Yeah, I wonder, like, if they didn't know that they had a house that they could have potentially went in, then maybe they were just like, "Oh, hey, it's another day out," you know.
I feel like
you see what I'm saying? But
like an Amish lifestyle or rural living or having like the things we've experienced being Katrina refugees in a sense, you know, all of us, I think those are life skills that literally, unless you were of those times, the 20s, if you lived in a rural area in the 20s, it could be like a hurricane. They don't find you for months if nobody knew you.
In the 20s.
Well, the 20s did have electricity and whatnot, but not complete phones, not all.
Am I wrong?
Yeah, but okay, that's prohibition, and that was speakeasies. Do you guys know about speakeasies?
Actually, yes,
you do. Can you speak something on it?
No,
you can't speak anything. Okay,
I'm not.
Well, let's put it like this: in the 1920s, before politics became really a big thing, and the mob, because you got to understand, the mob was very involved, but they were actually the answer to the problem in the 1920s. If people don't realize, alcohol has always been around. The only thing the mob really did was give access and then took full control. But the government's the one that came through in the 1920s and stopped it in belief that it was somehow
that they could take full control.
Right. And they wanted to put taxes higher and all this other crap. But that's where the mob came in. Is it's no different like cannabis. You know, it would always be here no matter what in some way, shape, or form. But in the think about that. Here we are 100 years later, since 1922, 100 years later. And what are we dealing with? Louisiana just became medicinal. I mean, Utah's medicinal, Florida's medicinal. So what, 100 years from now? Are we going to have a reverse, or what's new? What's going to be legalized? Is it going to take 100 years?
I think that, you know how the Mayan calendar was like a circle and everything?
Right.
And people spoke of it as the end and this and that. But, well, every circle, you know, like if it starts at 1 and, you know what I mean? It goes to 12 and then back to 1. So it's like a restart. But
right.
I thought to myself one time, what if it's actually a spiral? Because we do.
It is a spiral. You're right.
But we get deeper and deeper into the cycle. So it can be the same thing over again further down the line.
Okay, so I'm going to read you.
So it's like a spiral.
So I'm going to spit this and then you're going to spit this.
Go for it.
Okay. So I'm going to read you exactly what the 20s were, and you put your spin on the type of music, what exactly is going on now, and we've already known what Renaissance age we're in. Okay.
Right.
So I want to hear both of y'all's afterwards. In the roaring 20s, a surging economy created an era of mass consumerism as jazz age flappers flouted prohibition laws and the Harlem Renaissance redefined arts and culture.
Wow, that's the roaring. Yeah, it sounds like it was like a mob, not just a mafia, but maybe like a mob of people. Like society was roaring.
Right. So since we go in a circle, we're now in the 20s. What would you call this 20s?
Oh, wow. We're kind of spiking in like our activity.
So are we the spiking 20s?
The roaring 20s.
They were the roaring 20s. Are we the spiking?
So what happened?
Oh, man, that's a hard one.
20. That's interesting. But yeah, these two are correlating here.
So we're in the spiking 20s.
It's like a similar energy.
Oh, give me a second. I'm going to have to think on this one, but that's a very, very enlightening thought.
A crashing economy.
We're in the suppression. We're in suppression. This is not completely. Are you kidding me? Even it being legal makes it.
With the liquor.
Yeah. Are you kidding me? This is exactly what they didn't want in 1920s. They wanted to have bars in New Orleans on the top floor. And because what speakeasies were how the jazz musicians actually got popular and whatnot. They were on stage. They were talking, you know, the 60s were the revamp of that thing where they would like have the berets and the little snapping fingers and talk about poetry. But the 1920s where they would sit on buckets and drink, talk about politics and about laws that were like corruption. And I'm sorry, we're not free. We're wearing masks by law. I mean, like, no, this is actually scary if you think about that. I didn't think about it like that. For me, it doesn't make me happy.
Being like a test to see how far society would go, like, or how
we are mirroring some of the 60s with shortages in food and everything else.
Really gonna riot when things get deeper, you know?
Oh, the riots have been going on, don't you think? Like the last 10 at least years.
Like exposing people, like it's like a test. I feel like I think there's
actually that's
down the line.
If you think about, we have lots of great comments. Hold on, my life is now changed after reading that link.
Gonna be something.
Yeah. Hey, sorry about that, UFO. No, do you not? I'm sorry, we disturbed UFO with that leech and special lady parts. Yeah, no, I feel like if you think about it, the 1950s were where people came back from war, and then awakenings happened right in the 50s, 60s, late 50s, 60s. The sexual revolution became a big thing. And wouldn't you say in the last, like, we're kind of mirroring some of what the 20s and the 60s had, because they definitely were similar. That openness, like but also the secretness, like, I don't know. It's exactly what I want. A lot
of people are speaking out for themselves right now too, in a way. Like a lot of people are being like, I guess honest, like with like no people aren't hiding anymore. Maybe that's like it seems a little bit different. Like,
right.
A lot of people are stepping up and saying like, hey, I guess, you know what I mean, this is who I am, and I'm, you know what I mean, you can't prohibit me.
Right. I mean, the mob really just started taking control where the United States government didn't. And that's the truth. I'm not making excuses for the mob and how they got involved with like prohibition, but I'll say independent thinking became something you're forced to find. If you found, and that's where we're at again right now, people. Right now, we're in that recycled thought process of like, you'll find your tribe even if you have to hide upstairs in small groups together. It's a real thing.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Like even if they speak up or people stuck in the subdivisions and stuff in ways.
But you know what happened?
It's almost like speaking up sometimes puts you into a subclass, or
I think
not a subclass, but like
I think the 2030s that we're gonna go through personally, all of us, 2030s, 2040s are gonna be intense.
So let's look up the 30s.
Ooh.
I'm curious.
Do it.
The 30s.
And there is some damn good information that I will bring to the surface about the Bronze Age and whatnot, because there's a whole lot to talk about.
That they just invented a lot of good things and had spikes in the economy.
Do you realize that we're only in the 22s, right?
Oh, crap.
What did he do? Or we're astral projections of each other to keep our identities still. I wonder about what is it called? The chronogenics, where you froze people and then bring them back. I'm like, I just can't I'm sorry. I'm gonna just say that, and this is hard for me to say.
Oh my God.
But how do we know that it doesn't work? Because people have paid money. Like, I don't believe that these people would give their entire whatever forever.
I just want to say the 1930s was definitely not what y'all wanted to be.
Y'all,
it is the beginning of
a decade that began on January 1st, 1930 and ended December 31st, 1939. Yep. The decade was defined by a global economic and political crisis that accumulated in the Second World War.
Right.
That's exactly what's going on.
I'm telling you, it's an amp up with Russia,
escalate.
China, and all the other superpowers.
It's already escalating.
Okay, if you guys really believe, listen, I am not somebody who believes that we should be excited about this fact, but I will be realistic, okay? As a person who's lived in many places and had many people and seen the world in many different dynamics, how are we to actually believe that Russia and China and all the terrorist organizations aren't going to go against each other, and then it doesn't matter what we do, because it's going to happen. We're seeing little tiny territorial issues. That's silly. Wait till we see full countries. And
like, if you
listen,
said that right now, like in a political, like if you were sitting next to the Chinese president, I'm pretty sure
it's about to happen.
If you mentioned that, like,
no, it's ignorant
small
to think
territorial issues or something, Taiwan is like such a big deal for them, because
speak about it, because if people don't know, they would probably love to hear this.
I think there's a Taiwan Strait or something like that, but China does not acknowledge that Taiwan is an independent country, and something about a treaty with America and Taiwan, and like China doesn't acknowledge that either. You know, they live in a realm where, like, what we say is not reality. Like, for us, it's like that's the law, but for them, they're like, what law? Like, that's like some type of silliness that they're talking about. Like, so we went over there without listening to one of their laws. They consider that their land. So if we go over there politically, or any figures go over there, we have to talk with the Chinese government and be approved. Well, Sarah Palin went over there and was not approved by the Chinese government. And this was recently, after China said, like, I mean, I could have swore they were doing missile parades, showing off their arsenal. They have a huge what's it called, navy and things like that. They were off our coast at one point, or no, that was Russia. That was off our coast with nuclear subs right off of
wow.
I think it was California. They were within our territory big time, or like right outside of our territory, which is 15 or 20. Yeah, I think it like 10 miles off the coast is no longer territory or considered. So that goes to show with Taiwan potentially, like that might be part of why it's called the Taiwan Strait or something. I don't know.
Well, let's have a quick interlude.
So in Russia right now has a reason to be mad at us, and it's the same exact thing that they're like. So the panda, the eagle, and the bear. Well, the panda and the bear are sitting back, not necessarily sitting back, but what they're trying to do is reconquer their land, because supposedly Syria and everything was Russian territory at one point. I'm not saying that any of this is acceptable, but it's just what they're planning on doing. They want to take their land back, and so America on both sides is like pretty much disobeying or disagreeing. We're politely passively saying,
yes,
like we're saying we can go to Taiwan when we feel like it, passively, and we're also saying you're not gonna fucking take your land back here, like it's just not gonna happen. Like, so then there you go. Like, it's two major powerhouses that are like, what the fuck's wrong with y'all?
Well, let's just put this out here. SpaceX is a private company who is operating through private contracts through the U.S. military. NASA doesn't exist in the same capacity.
A lot of U.S. military, not a lot. Shout out to the U.S. military and all this, but I feel like there's a lot of rogue companies too. Like I think it was called Blackwing or something like that. BlackRock. It's like a group of military agents that didn't feel like they were getting paid enough, so they went ahead and did private orders. And they're like, you can have a private militia like ordered to go to any country and do anything, pretty much. Like they're if I'm not mistaken, and they have like certain clearances and stuff. I'm not even sure how that completely works, but well, also with the space program, this seems to go private nowadays. We've stepped into a new place. Maybe we.
Do you understand
or something, or maybe it was bought out? Who knows?
Do you understand that there is like documented?
There might have been a barrier in like the amount of technology we attained, or the type of
you would know this.
That were
you guys should. should know this. Like, and listeners, I'm about to show you something that will just blow your mind. But do you understand that the military is controlling it, and there is no longer there's programs that have been actually documented by independent people, like screenshotting videos and whatnot that they've put on their, not this, but I'm talking about NASA and other things. And the Space Force is doing these videos on YouTube and whatnot. People are documenting them, and they're taking the programs down, and it's being washed from Wikipedia. It's documented.
Yeah, like I feel like, hold on a second, these major investors might have more or I mean, they plain and simple probably do have more money than the whole military branch when it comes to paying for their soldiers, you know? Like, I don't know, like they might develop that technology, but these people get paid more, so I don't know, it goes to show with everything. So going to space, like, they don't even have enough money to go to space, especially the way they're spending like the tax dollar. If we were going to help all like this and that, I'm not saying we shouldn't, but there might need to be a medium here too, because we're using all these expenses in all these different ways, and we're having the issue I was just speaking about. It's like,
hold on one second. Do you guys see this on the screen?
They're being bought out.
This is the Space Force. Is it showing? I hope it's showing. Yes.
Work for half the wage. You know what I mean?
The one to the right is actually Star Trek's logo. The one to the left is our
Space Force.
Yeah, it's real.
We just like, it's a bunch of dudes from back in the day. They're like, heck yeah.
Can you believe we couldn't come up with a new logo? I mean, it's really bubbly. It looks
or
like
what if
kid
it
pics.
Means something? There's like a deeper.
Well, this is what I'm saying. I wonder if, like, has there been? Hey, listen, let's go conspiracy on this one. Has the Starfleet Command actually been the United States Space Force that's always existed? And maybe they were writers giving us like their ultra ego, like, you know, also part of the Jetsons, and they came up with the Rumba, you know, all that.
Oh, Lord, I didn't think about that.
That's a whole nightmare. Yes. No, this is it's a funny little thought. Like, when it comes to, at least like I said, there's been actual missions, actual space missions that have went up in the sky, and they show all the evidence on YouTube. And then when you go back, like, I don't know, a few months later, it's gone. Those videos have been scrubbed in the.
They're scrubbing all kinds of shit.
Right. And I feel like
they have
that's really messed up. Okay, so do you guys know about Elon Musk's spaceship that was, okay, let me look for it. It's the car that was in space. Do you know about that?
Yeah, they sent out a Tesla into space, and it's like super far by now.
It's not true. He did it in a green screen. It's pretty fucked up, man.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, you ready to see the bullshit? Makes me sad. I used to listen to that shit.
Yeah, he also supposedly claims that he has the most satellites he has more satellites in space currently.
He's the biggest pollutioner
of the entire world. Yeah, that's what I was just saying.
Pollutioner.
Like, there's so much chance. There's so many chances or potential for these to collide into other astral bodies and cause like mayhem. And if there's a slight shift in any of our planets, it's going to cause a misalignment in our orbit, and there could potentially be planet-on-planet collisions and destruction of the entire solar system.
Yep.
Or a big chunk of it, for example.
So
yeah, but if it destroyed it, how do we know that that's not going to create a black hole?
That's what I'm saying.
We're starting to find out new things about black holes just like recently. I think it was like the last few months or something. They're able to like. They're realizing that light doesn't always get sucked into a black hole. Sometimes it like radiates on the outside and stuff. It's a misconception that everything, even light, gets sucked in. Like there's other types of fields and things that are around it, and in it potentially it's not what we thought it was. It's just like a big hole. Like it might be something.
That's what the whole point. We're gonna have to do some episodes on illusions and how like it really can.
Big hole.
Here you go. The gravity against, what was this? Against car. There you go. That's it. No. No, I mean, have you guys ever seen? What do you feel about time travel?
What if it's a spaceship?
Right.
No, dark holes are like bending gravity, and they're like sitting right outside of our solar system, like checking us out, just like bending our vision around it, and or sucking our vision inward, like sucking all the light out of its area.
Let's see.
Like some type of vortex.
Time travel, and we're gonna go with famous.
Or like shield
people. Have you ever seen this before, guys?
The Donald Trump time
travel. This shit. We're about to blow your minds.
Oh, about the ones that look like.
Yes, like this guy.
Well,
how is that okay?
Oh, dude. They say that what's it called? Nicolas Cage is a vampire that
look at him.
Every decade or two he shifts, and he has all that mystique about him in New Orleans and all the curses. I think his soul
is definitely there.
Like, it's so weird, dude.
Okay, where's the Tupac one? He's so good. I want to see the Tupac.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I think that we're in the day and age where you could very much Photoshop this shit. So I have a hard time. Where is it? We can't find it. But I'm
pretty sure a lot of them are authentic too, though.
Let's see. I think it was this guy. What's his name?
Oh, fucking
Dr. Doolittle guy. Name? Oh, this is intense. This guy, man.
Yeah, I can't remember his name.
Look at Keanu Reeves,
dude. He's a fool.
Oh, that gives
like John Wick or whatever.
That makes me so grossed out.
It's weird. No, he might just.
How is this okay? Paul Reeves?
Oh no, Jack Black? Paul Revere. No, Paul Revere, the guy that rode the horse and said the British were coming, all that. That's
he would.
Jack Black. Could you imagine?
He would, man. He had a lot of songs.
And he made a song back in the G. It was called "The British Are Coming."
I know.
No, I'm kidding.
No. Okay, look at this shit. This is intense, man. I can't with that. That's scary. Ghosts straight up.
Civil War people that like go.
Okay.
It's strange.
Here we go.
Einstein.
That's a good one. Einstein is beautiful. I don't think.
Oh no, is that?
It's reef photography.
In Abraham Lincoln.
That's too much, man.
Oh my bad. That might not be Abe.
That is very close, though. Look at that chin line there. You think he was funny?
Oh yeah,
he might have been funny.
Had a great chin line or whatever.
You know, we must cover.
History, man. It's strange.
What is his name? What did we just call him? Who is Albert Einstein? Not
like
Albert.
A psycho that is like really care.
What's Lincoln? Lincoln's wife. We need to cover that because she was somebody that was treated with.
Real quick.
Okay, where's he at? There he is. Because she
Abraham Lincoln's wife.
Oh, she was seriously affected by like the menstrual issues and whatnot. And she had PTSD. Yeah. She had PTSD and horrific grief after he was, killed. And people literally put her in an insane asylum, and she became like poor as hell. I mean, it's a great one to put where societies wrote off mental illness. It's pretty sad.
And that's the same with the Winchester family.
Right.
That was absolutely horrible, man.
She
tried to avoid spirits by building her house with dead ends and
have you seen all the ghosts?
Staircases?
Have you seen? Wait, let me look it up because I've seen all the ghosts. And I used to live out there. I don't know how I never saw it. It's in Orange County. It's pretty crazy.
The rifles.
Winchester House. Isn't it? Oh, it's San Jose? Hold on. I thought it was in Orange County. I'm almost wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Am I wrong?
That's the house right there.
That's it, right? Isn't it in Orange County? Maybe I'm wrong.
Sure.
Hold on. Where is the Winchester House? San Jose. It wasn't in Orange County. No wonder I didn't see it. Anyway, this place is incredible. Hold on.
Look at it. She just kept building. That's weird looking.
And she had
it's odd.
hidden doors, like you said. Let's see.
She was trying to keep the spirits in.
I'm gonna look.
Or get them like lost.
Tours.
Yeah.
Walk with tour. Okay, you're terrible. All right, I'm gonna have to look the hard way.
Imagine if that was like her real reality. Like, I'm sure it was though, but I mean, to witness all that or feel all this,
so she kept hiring different.
She feels so much like that she did all this.
This is what I loved about one of them. Look at this glass ceiling, and then all the observatory. But like, that those are short as fuck, and you had a giant dress. How could they not hurt them? How could she? I mean, you really are I almost wonder if it's a form of OCD in a sense. You know what I mean? Like she had to do it to fulfill the anxiety that came with it. Because some of these, like this is it. This is what you were talking about. The doorways that go to nowhere. I hope you guys can see that.
What the heck?
You've never seen that?
On the second floor.
Hold on, let me make this bigger. View.
She was gonna build a staircase at one point, and she quit.
Right.
Like from outside, like that's where that story comes from. She's like, man,
right.
Did she speak of the hauntings? Like what happened? Like I'm not even sure.
I'm pretty sure. I've seen some pretty great, compelling evidence from ghost adventures that did a lot of EVPs, and there are like look at the way that the house looks. That door is from the top floor, comes out. In the dark wood and stuff, does anybody understand? It creates it holds like a sponge spiritual. Look at this.
Oh yeah, supposedly wood is less dense than a lot of metals and stuff. Well, this is just true, but like
limestone and wood
structures, but yeah, the like sleeping on wood is possibly limestone too, like you're saying, but it's just like I don't know, less dense. And when we speak of wavelengths and like thoughts and spirit energy or whatever, on a more or less dense wavelength, like difference in color from one spectrum to the next, it's just the amount of wavelengths per second. So
like
it reduces vibration, in other words, more politely, without reverberation.
Though, that she had the funds. Look at this building. Look how large it is. She had the funds to keep building on this thing. I'm sorry if you guys can't see. My computer isn't letting me
she built for
blow it up.
God.
Yeah, it won't go any freaking.
How'd she even have any rest? She's always like,
there we go.
Build blueprints.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's see. It went up to 250. So let me.
Who knows? Maybe that's what drove her crazy, huh?
I mean, there's some. Have you guys heard of? I think it's the Hill House. I think it's the Hill House. Hold on, let me see if that's the ghost one. Or
another house, huh?
The Hill House.
Wasn't that
which one were we talking about with that Louisiana house? What was it again?
The Myrtle Plantation.
Myrtle?
Yeah.
And they also have that other house that Nicolas Cage bought, right?
The Lalaurie.
Well, we pulled that one up. Yeah. Oh, Lalaurie, yes. Oh my God. There we go. There we go. Let's see if it'll let us see it. Yeah, it's pretty spooky from the outside. I'll say that. I know that they made it into a bank at one point after the incident happened.
In the dark, even in the day, it's just like a huge square
building. But look
building.
up the Myrtle Plantation.
Okay.
Scary.
It's huge though on the inside, that place.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
Where is that?
I don't know. That looks like the French Quarter to me. Like it doesn't spook me out.
A lot of buildings look like that. You know what I really think in New Orleans when I walk around?
I love that they have the courtyards. They knew what they were doing. Oh my gosh,
the courtyards are
I like the porch.
It's like a private area.
It's a private area, exactly. They knew what was up.
And also
they were thinking with their head.
Like I spoke in the last episode when we were recapping on New Orleans. I felt like when you walk around, you feel like there's a dissociation to spirits because you hear about it all the time and you might experience things here and there. But I come to think to myself as I walk down some of those streets that there's a lot of houses that you have no clue what happened in them. Like there's even houses that have chains still on the wall by the door and stuff.
Right.
I'm not kidding. Like it's spooky. It's like a haunted house. All the houses are haunted.
Are you talking about since Katrina?
Pretty much, unless it was like, I'm talking way before Katrina. There's like so much residual energy. It feels like all the houses are like 150
like
years
in
old,
the Irish Channel and
back to back to back to back. It's all like historical land.
We'll have to do a Google
in these houses that we don't know about.
And you know like I mean? Walk people through some of the areas. Right. Let me see here.
Crazy shit that couldn't imagine.
I just saw something today that was so freaking great. I could imagine that. Let me find this. Because this, I'm only going to play the very beginning of it, I guess. Where is it at? There's so many good ones, but the Mafia one, where it's just like crazy. It's right across the street from where me and you and all of our friends used to park when we go partying. Like, it was just such a crazy thing. Here we go. This is one of them. I'm going to hold on a second. I'm going to mute you guys.
Oh, it's really pretty cool all the time.
Are we doing okay on time, or should we wrap it up soon?
We're gonna have to wrap it up kind of soon. Unfortunately, me and Tuki have work.
That's okay. That's okay. We're happy with everybody who's listening and joining us tonight. We're gonna I'm just gonna give you guys a snapshot. Let's see here. Is it gonna even work? Let me mute this. Okay. And then stream share this video. That should work. All right.
On January 3rd, 1855, the body of a Sicilian truck farmer, Francisco Domingo, was found floating here on the banks of the Mississippi River in New Orleans. He had been stabbed multiple times and had his throat slit from ear to ear. It was clear that this was a murder. This was no accident. And whoever did this very viciously. Well, the police eventually figured out who the body was, although it had been quite deformed from being murdered and cut up and all of that. And people didn't really go around with like ID tags. And they found the widow, and the widow said that he had received a letter with a black hand on it and a bunch of dangerous looking symbols demanding money or that he would be murdered. So many consider that this is the first black hand assassination noted in the United States. This is the beginning of what would become the Black Hand and then later the Mafia. It's a great legend. Francisco Domingo was murdered, but
sorry about that. I was talking to myself. Did you guys know this already about the Black Hand in New Orleans?
No, I didn't know it.
Oh,
I heard about what's it called? It's two brothers that used to Tilly Hankton, the Hankton brothers. They used to run New Orleans. I mean, but in a way, like they were like a street crime organization. I don't know. They were different than the mob, though. The mob was the Black Hand. It seems very strange. Like,
I'm gonna play just a few more minutes of this, and we will be covering this in a future episode because it's quite enlightening. And the other version, the part
maybe
2 of this,
copy the mob, you know?
No, they did not. They started it all there. They're about to tell you the man's name.
Black Hand. Maybe they inspired
Sicilians. Actually, back in the old country, your family, my family's all Sicilian blood, came with a totally different kind of attitude when it came to the Mafia. The Mafia is actually about brotherhood and kindness and whatnot, and helping each other, but family, not helping other families.
It's like
New Orleans still has that, but it became criminal in a whole different way. Like
opportunity.
Right, opportunity. Well said. I'm going to continue this. Could you guys hear it just a little okay, or?
Yeah, it was
okay. All right, I'm going to just a few more moments. We're not going to watch the whole thing, just to give an intro to the listeners, and obviously for you guys to think about, holy crap, wow. I don't think it's just New Orleans. I think it's all parts of Louisiana had interest in this way. Here we go. Let's see.
It doesn't appear that there was any Black Hand stuff attached to it, but it is a very interesting case of creating a mythology for something like this. You have a sinister organization of the Black Hand, so it can't have mundane roots and just a group of immigrants coming into the country trying to find a way to extort the system and make money. No. It's got to have some sort of deep, dark tale of a body discovered and all of that. Now, I'm going to do a series about the Black Hand and how it started here in New Orleans, right here on these docks, this area, and then traveled to Tampa and to New York, and then from there to the other cities across America and turned into what we would consider the mafia today. I thought I would start here because this is where the legend begins. But we're going to actually go back before 1855 because there were people here before that already doing stuff. So join me. Let's adventure.
Thanks for sharing. That was cool.
Isn't that amazing though? So yeah, it gets, and that's just the teeny tiny taste of it. When you really look at the history of New Orleans, see, I am like related.
The name the Black Hand. That was
but like there's we're gonna have to. You know that now that just this opened the door to you guys have experience with Tampa yourself. You also have experience in some tiny ways with New York. I mean, I do too. And just in general, in California and Arizona, in my history of my family. So, and they are related to the mafia. So like in general, there were small, I have seen videos and will feature with you guys and all the listeners that really do give factual information about how Louisiana was not initially, they didn't identify as the mafia. It was really New York that gave them the name. They were just doing the practices in Louisiana. And so it became like the 1920s we were just talking about very much is when all this started. So
did they know about each other or was it just like
actually it was like I'll help you. You're on the Mississippi River. Well, I got friends. We don't need to worry about land. I'll help you get that alcohol all the way up to from Canada, Missouri, all the little tiny town. Yeah, because you forget Prohibition wasn't just in one state. It's the whole country.
City.
The whole yes, and we controlled it.
New Orleans just on accident, you know, or
like how many people were farmers who made money on the side of the Missouri River that runs into the Mississippi River? Do you know about that? How many people? There's so much to say. I have so much we can queue up because I did a ton of research a couple of years ago, and technically I know that the only mafia family that's still alive to this day is the Bonannios, which is crazy because there's a whole other story we can talk about how actually New Orleans started the mafia and they're still in the mafia, but now they've relocated their
a lot of groups
criminal
of
stuff in New York.
The mafia nowadays, you know, like
but it is. With the mob. Have you even Googled? Look, like, I'm going to show you something. Let me just Google this mafia New Orleans because it's today. It's all African American sides have taken over the old game. The Marcello family taught the old generations. Do you understand that when people became free, who do you think helped them figure out how to be good business owners and do a lot of criminal work? That initially they're a big part of the good and the bad. Society. And the Jewish mob was not something that the Italian Catholic mob had anything problems with. If it was business related, didn't care what you believed in, didn't care what color skin you had, as long as you continue to follow the rules. There's so much we can talk about. They were looked
down on big time.
Right. Hold on. Let me see if I can share this, and then we're going to wrap up because I feel like this has been a great episode, and we're at least opening you guys' minds. Can you see that? Let's see. Share. So yeah, mafia bosses all kind of worked along the I-10 all the way to California, and then all the way up the Mississippi River, and then all the way from New York, all the way to Florida, all the way to Cuba.
Yeah.
And then if you know anything about international smuggling and things like that, mafia still does business. And I'll say that the Italian side of things, here you go. Look at this. 3 months ago, there was pure conversations happening all over New Orleans about the mafia alive and well in a new fashion. Because what does New Orleans still need access to?
Tookie thinks we're snitching again.
No, we're not. It's true. I'm the one saying it. I have mafia blood. I'm okay with saying this. Get as mad as you want. I'm proud as ever to be able to say that I'm well aware that we've, as the little people who are bigger thinkers and often don't stick to the old concepts and ways, you can either be a good business owner and reinvest. That's what a lot of the mafia have done. Most of the mafia to this day are real estate investors, pharmaceutical investors, high tech investors. I feel like
once you get some good money, you know, like, I mean, it might not even have been good money, but
like,
if they had some money that they could invest, you know, there's a lot of money to come from that.
Large monopoly companies that exist today work hand in hand with the mafia. They are the government under the government.
Yeah,
it's true.
Well, it might be the strongest organization, or like the most, like, maybe what's it called, dedicated, or like structured, organized. I don't know. Or like
Ozarks, Ozarks on Netflix, I think, is the best example to describe how the mafia exists today, as in other countries that work hand in hand with our FBI and all the other investigations. Like, I really think it's not.
What if the FBI is the mob?
They are. They are. They're
That's what I'm saying. Like,
they're part mob and they're part Nazis.
Yeah, like,
it's a fact.
They stay on the inside of the job and they do a lot of. I'm not gonna say that. Not the feds,
and do you understand
who knows, like, there's might be like.
Do you understand the CIA is higher than the FBI?
Take that one. They have different clearance levels. Like, if the CIA shows up to an FBI investigation and says leave, I'm gonna take over, they have to leave and stop the case.
Yeah. And am I wrong that the IRS is a private organization?
As need to know basis.
Isn't it true? Isn't that true, Marie? I think the IRS is private. Just like the DEA is a private. No, is
also it heard that the IRS doesn't have any money in it, or like gold to back
the
up
CBC. That's the other one. Sorry, not the DEA. The CBC is also a private organization. It's not government it's like overseen, but these are all like just. The Better Business Bureau is a private organization. All these things oversee other things. OSHA. So FEMA in itself, it's a federal government, like a 35C. It's like a nonprofit that's been stemmed off of our own government, making private businesses. Like, people, if you educate yourself, like,
funnel keeps on
going. Yes. So we'll have lots of educational conversations spinning off of some of the things we discussed tonight. But I absolutely appreciate all your input tonight, Toke and Marie. I hope
you too.
I hope you guys get some rest. They're going to be out on Saturday with us, so I will be filling in that spot. I'm actually trying to get our lovely friend Mac to join us on a possible podcast. So we might have a special guest. We might just have me. We don't know. But yes, tune in. We will be back on. When are we back on? Thursday? Am I right?
We're back on.
No, Friday. Oh my gosh. Having a moment. Back on Friday. And subject matter, we're not sure yet, but you guys should definitely get excited about the 29th of August. That's when we'll be doing our Katrina episode, and we'll be talking about our personal stories and all that. So I hope you guys join in on that. And then at the end of the month, on the 31st, I think it is this month, we will be shouting out some of our favorite things and favorite channels and stuff like that. So do stay tuned for the upcoming shows, and I hope you guys get some rest tonight and get to work and get some sleep tonight. We're gonna shout out to you guys.
Be blessed and blessed be.
That's right. Have a good night. Have a good day. We will talk to you soon. If you guys are listening on iTunes or elsewhere, please make sure you send out a little comment on the other platforms so we know that you're listening. And in the meantime, have a good day. Bye.
Bye.
Good night and early good morning.